effect of water quality on aquatic animals. The effect of these water quality variables tend to follow three patterns. Figure 4.8 in Figure 4.8. Performance includes factors such as level of feeding, growth behaviors, survival, fecundity, and immunity. Water temperature. Temperature is perhaps the most important water quality variables because it directly or indirectly affects other water quality variables. Natural productivity in cultural species. Managing water temperature is economically invisible in outdoor aquaculture and farm species that grow well at the water temperature range of a particular site must be selected. General responses of aquatic animals to increased level of environment variables. A distinct optimum level with decreasing performance at high and low level. Decreasing performance as level increase, increasing performance as level increase, performance by decrease may decrease at very high level. Reproduce with permission. The optimum pH from growth and health of most freshwater aquatic animals is the range of 6.5 to 9.0. Acid and alkaline dead point are approximate pH 4 and pH 11. Marine fish involved in highly pufferly seawater that is not subject to wide variation in pH. Consequently, most marine animals cannot tolerate as wide a range of environment pH as freshwater animals, and the optimum pH is usually between pH 7.5 and 8.5. Some species involved in estuaries where there is typically large variation in pH in response to variation in river discharge and tidal flow. Brackish water in habitat are rather tolerant of extreme of pH. Gills are the primary target of primary target of elevated environments. 8 plus concentration for freshwater fish change is gill structure and function cause reduced ion uptake, increases ion loss, and reduce respiratory efficiency. Respiration is further compromised by blood as buffer seawater that is not subject to wide variation in pH. Consequently, most marine animals cannot tolerate as wide a range of environment pH as freshwater animals, and the optimum pH is usual between pH 7.5 and 8.5. Some species involved in estuaries where there are typically large variation in pH in response to variation in river discharge and tidal flow. Brackish water in habitat are rather tolerant of extreme of pH. Gill are the primary target of elevated environment. H plus concentration for freshwater fish change in gill structure and function cause reduce in uptake, increase ion loss, and reduce respiratory efficiently. Respiration is further compromised by blood 6 which decrease the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen under mild acid stress. Animals expend extra metabolic energy for maintenance of gill function at the expense of growth and immune function. Under the extreme acid stress, the animals is not capable of maintaining hemo, hemostasis and dies. Acid stress is most common in bodies of water where pH has declined because of human activities. For example, long-term acidification of lakes because of acid precipitation has disastrous effects on natural fish population in certain areas of Europe and North America. Low pH in aquaculture system usually can be controlled through liming. Dissolved oxygen. Most of the oxygen carried in fish blood is associated with hemoglobin is red blood cell, although a small fraction dissolved is the plasma. Loading and unloading of hemoglobin, which oxygen is covered by oxygen tension at the gills. Oxygen tension is water is higher than in the blood, and oxygen is loaded on the hemoglobin in a lower oxygen tension that blood entering the tissue from the arterial system. So hemoglobin unload oxygen to the tissue will invertebrate do not have hemoglobin is in their blood. Most species contain another pigment hemocyanin, which function is most the same manner in hemoglobin is general cold water fish as more sensitive to hypoxidant and are warm water fish. Critical DO concentration that negatively affect growth are lower than 5 to 6 from trout and salmon and 3 to 4 mg L from warm water fish. As DO concentration fall below surgical level and compensate from decreased availability of oxygen through behavioral and physiological change. Ventilation volume increase because less oxygen is available in given amount of water. Fish minimize extraneous activity to reduce metabolic oxygen demand. Certain psychological response to low DO concentration increase the capacity for gas exchange at the gill. This adaptation and responses allow warm water fund fish to survive for days, even when DO concentration are as low as 1 to 2 mg. At some point, compensatory responses are no longer sufficient and oxygen demand of tissue exceed the amount that can be supplied and amount therefore fish seem to surface is an attempt to apply oxygen in the surface film. Eventually, the energy requirement from metabolism is the brain is not met and fish die. Adult warm water fish can live from several hours of the O concentration as low as 0.3 to 0.5 mg, and fingerlings by survive short exposure to lower concentration. Small fish consume more oxygen per unit wide than large fish because of their higher metabolic rate. per unit weight. Small fish are also more effective at using oxygen in surface films than are large fish. Cold water. Fish usually die at the slightly higher oxygen concentration than required to kill water fish. From example, rainbow trout by die at DO concentration of 2 to 5 to 3 to 5 mg, and they do not grow well at DO concentration below 5 mg. Crustaceans are remarkably similar to fish is their tolerance to low DO concentration. Why daily fluctuation is DO typically occur in intensive aquaculture fund. Is aquaculture fund DO concentration often exceed 15 mg in the afternoon but fall below 5 mg by dawn. Usually growth of most species decreases if DO concentration before sunrise drop below 25%. Saturation. Of course, some aquaculture species such as tilapias and especially clarid and pangasiid catfishes are particularly tolerant to low DO concentration. Concentration of DO above saturation provide tidal benefit because the oxygen transporting pigment will fully load with oxygen when water is saturated with DO. Carbon dioxide. Aquatic animals excrete carbon dioxide produces circular respiration across their gill. When carbon dioxide concentration in water increases, the rate of excretion decreases, leading accumulation of blood carbon dioxide and a decrease in blood pH. There can condition decrease the affinity of respiratory pigment for oxygen, will reduce respiratory efficiency and decrease the tolerance of animals to low dissolved oxygen concentration. Tolerance of fish and crustaceans to environment dissolved carbon dioxide concentration varies greatly. Marine fish involved in environment with tables low. Dissolved carbon dioxide concentration and are intolerant of dissolved carbon dioxide. Long-term exposure to more than 5 mg may reduce growth. An upper limit of 20 mg dissolved carbon dioxide has been suggested from the health of salmonid warm water fish involved in environment where fluctuation in dissolved carbon is more common and therefore can tolerate higher concentration of dissolved carbon dioxide greater than 60 to 80 mg have a necrotic effect on aquatic animals, and even higher concentration may cause death. Most studies has concentration on the effect of long-term exposure to a specific carbon dioxide concentration. Such information has applications to control system where carbon dioxide concentration is relatively stable over time. Carbon dioxide concentration is found may change by an order of magnitude between night and day. No study have been made of the effect of short-term exposure of fish as crustacean for fluctuating carbon dioxide concentration, it is difficult to assess the overall importance of carbon dioxide to fund aquaculture. Gas supersaturation. Water can become supersaturated with gases by several processes. Rapid increases in temperature, mix of air-saturated water, masses of different temperature, explosion of air into surrounded water during ice formation, air extrement by falling water lakes on sunken side of farms, photosynthesis are sudden change is barometric pressure. Gas supersaturation is expressed as the EV volume, which is calculated by subtracting local barometric pressure from total gas pressure in the water or by measuring indirectly with a saturometer. Supersaturation is an unstable condition as gases come of situation they from bubbles of the dissolved gases diffuse across the gill before coming out of solution emboli with from in the vascular system and other tissue. A condition called gas bubble diseases. Acute gas bubble diseases occurs at high level of supersaturation, usually at AP volumes of above 15 kPa of greater eggs with flow to surface and larvae and fry by exhibit hyperinflation of the swim bladder, hypothalamus, cranial swelling gills, blood in the abdominal cavity, gas bubbles in yolk sac, and distension and rupture of rock sac membranes in savali and adult fish. The most common symptoms of acute gas bubble diseases are gas bubbles is the blood as bubble formation is gill filament of the held in the mouth and in rains. The eyes will also produce mortality rate can be high and death is caused by bubbles that restrict blood flow. When aquatic animals are exposed to AV volumes of 5 to 15 kPa on a condition basics chronic gas. Bubble diseases by developed symptoms are bubble formation is gut and mouth, hyperinflation of the swim bladder, and low level mortality. Death is often caused by secondary stress related infection. Although animals may potentially develop gas bubble diseases anytime there is a possible AV. Occurrence is strongly influenced by the depth at which animals spend most of their time. Highly hydrostatic pressure at depth means that a large gas concentration is necessary for supersaturation. Water depth can also affect the potential from developing gas bubble trauma because rate of photosynthesis and solar heating decrease with depth. This fit the frequent occurrence of supersaturated condition is surface water gas bubbles trauma. really occur in the aquatic fauna apparently is saturation of surface water, which harmful level is found. Animals will move into deeper water if is lower is most found. Supersaturation will only threaten eggs or fry restricted to the surface by lack of mobility is shallow found with clear water and abundant sulfurium vegetable. The extreme water volume can become strongly supersaturated and there is no supersaturated and there is no there is no refuge from animals.